Cimoooooooo. What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So I've been feeling pretty nostalgic lately from working on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Last week we covered the top 10 aqua monsters of all time, and this week we're going to be covering the top 10 beasts. A couple things to remember: this list isn't going to be in any sort of order other than alphabetical, so you could rank these wherever you want, but these are definitively the strongest beast monsters of all time. So for my first card, or I should say two cards, since both of these beasts belong to the same archetype, a very dangerous one at that, we've got Danger Bigfoot and Danger Jackalope. Both Danger Bigfoot and Jackalope have a similar effect. You can reveal them in your hand, and your opponent randomly chooses a card from your hand to be discarded. Then, if the discarded card was not Danger Bigfoot or Jackalope, you get to special summon that monster from your hand and draw one card. However, if Bigfoot gets discarded, you get to target a face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And if Jackalope gets discarded, you get to special summon a danger monster from your deck. On top of that, Bigfoot is also 3,000 attack, so just having a monster that you can special summon for free that's 3,000 attack, or it's going to destroy a monster if it hits the graveyard, you're going to be destroying a monster one way or the other. Just like in the top 10 aqua monsters of all time, like Danger Nessie, Danger Jackalope is part of a group of danger monsters that effectively replaces itself no matter what the outcome may be, and makes it so that you never lose card advantage. And both of these cards being beasts is why they made it onto this top 10 list. Now for my next pick, we're going to be taking a trip to the Synchro era, and this is a card that doesn't really get talked about too often, but is responsible for some incredibly degenerate loops, and that card is Dolauren, Tiger of the Ice Barrier. Dolauren requires a tuner and one or more non-tuner water monsters to summon. Once per turn, you can return any number of face-up monsters you control to the owner's hand. For each card returned to the owner's hand by this effect, this card gains 500 attack until the end phase. Anytime you see a card that has a soft once per turn clause that bounces your own cards back to the hand, you know that there is going to be degeneracy somewhere. Dolauren has found its way onto the limited list for quite some time now because it's solely responsible for infinite draw combos, infinite damage combos. Just being able to continuously bounce your cards over and over back to your hand makes it do so many unfair things, and why it's essentially slated itself on the limited list for life. While some of these combos are a bit gimmicky and probably would never see the light of competitive play, it's definitely for the better health of the game that Dolauren is limited, but it has also given Dolauren a very lasting legacy as one of the strongest beast monsters of all time. Now coming up next, we're going to be going to the Xyz era, and some may call this a diamond in the rough, but for number 3, I've got Diamond Direwolf. Diamond Direwolf requires 2 level 4 monsters, and once per turn you can detach an Xyz material from this card, then target a beast, beast warrior, or winged beast type monster you control, and one other card on the field, destroy them. Being a beast monster himself, it's very easy to target Diamond Direwolf for its own effect to ensure that you can pop one card your opponent controls. While this may seem like a lot of effort just to pop a single card, you have to think back when Diamond Direwolf was actually released, there wasn't a ton of easy ways just to have a sort of one-for-one removal, and with rank 4 monsters being some of the easiest to access during the Xyz era, Diamond Direwolf was pushing $70, $80, maybe even $90 a copy. Diamond Direwolf has always been a consideration for rank 4 strategies due to its ease of access, its easy summoning conditions, its versatility, and just being able to be an all-around solid monster. While it may not look too strong by modern standards, back in the day, Diamond Direwolf was definitely a force to be reckoned with. Now for my 4th card, we actually have a relatively new card, and this card is anything but bad, and that card is Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is a Link 2 monster that just requires 2 monsters with different names to summon it. If a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, you can apply the following effects in sequence based on the card types of the monsters this card points to. Ritual, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Fusion, special summon 1 level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard. Synchro, all monsters you control gain 700 attack. Xyz, all monsters your opponent controls lose 700 attack. You can only use this effect of Cross Sheep once per turn. When people first read Cross Sheep, they lost their minds with how much versatility this card provides to a multitude of different strategies. The attack gain and attack loss effects for the Synchro and Xyz summon effects respectively are nice, but most people are looking towards the Ritual and Fusion aspects. Being able to cycle 2 cards if you have a Ritual monster with Cross Sheep is incredible because it allows you to dig for further combo pieces, and for Fusion monsters, oh man, this is where Cross Sheep flourished. Cross Sheep saw a lot of play with another beast monster being Invoked Kaliga in Invoked strategies, because by making Invoked Kaliga, then linking it off for Cross Sheep, If you're able to fusion summon afterwards, you are then able to resurrect the Caliga to your field, basically making it incredibly difficult for your opponent to play the game while under the effect of Caliga. While it is a little bit situational because you do need to be playing the right extra deck monsters, Cross Sheep is an incredibly powerful monster and will continue to see play as long as these cards exist. Now we're just about halfway through the list, coming in at number 5, and man, do we have a card for this slot. This card has been the pain point for so many players for so long, and that card is Naturia Beast. Naturia Beast requires an Earth Tuner monster and one or more non-tuner Earth monsters to summon. When a spell card is activated, as a quick effect, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, negate that activation, and if you do, destroy it. This card, however, must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. But that doesn't even matter because there is no once per turn clause anywhere on this card. Players look to Naturia Beast to just lock their opponent out of playing the game, because if they're playing a ton of spell cards, Naturia Beast is going to deal with all of them. And at the competitive level, when decks are sometimes comprised of 10, 15, even 20 spell cards, maybe more depending on the archetype, Naturia Beast can be an absolute blowout. Some people have called for this card to be banned, and I think there's definitely an argument to be made there, but the fact that it has a very specific set of summoning conditions, I think, is what balances this card out. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Naturia Beast is one of the strongest beast monsters of all time. So for my next card, if there was a single card I had to pick on this list to be my number 1, it would probably be this one, and that card is Performapal Monkey Board. Performapal Monkey Board is a pendulum monster with a pendulum effect that reads, during your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can add 1 level 4 or lower Performapal monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Performapal Monkey Board once per turn. We're basically going to ignore the rest of Monkey Board's abilities because this is the reason why this card is banned. Pendulum summoning is arguably the most broken mechanic in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Monkey Board makes it easier than ever. When you activate Monkey Board, you can then search your deck for another Performapal monster to add to your hand. The thing is, all you have to do is pick a Performapal with a high level scale, and just like that, you're able to pendulum summon off of a single card. Not to mention back in the day when Performapal Skullcrabat Joker was at 3 and was able to search Monkey Board, you were able to not only get access through your pendulum scales through Monkey Board, but Skullcrabat Joker as well. This virtually negated any sort of difficult drawback when it came to pendulum summoning, and is one of the reasons why Performapal Monkey Board is one of, if not the most broken pendulum monster ever created. Don't let Monkey Board's smile fool you. This innocent looking card is anything but, and the only player that was smiling at the table was the one who wasn't on the receiving end of its effect. Now for my 7th pick, we actually have a tie once again, because these cards do belong to the same archetype, I suppose, if you want to call this an archetype, but those cards are Rescue Cat and Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Cat was actually forbidden for quite some time, but then received an errata and was then able to come off the ban list. But we're going to be talking about the pre-errata version here specifically. The pre-errata version of Rescue Cat reads, send this face-up card on your side of the field to the graveyard to special summon 2 level 3 or lower beast type monsters from your deck to the field. The monsters special summoned in this way are destroyed during the end phase. Now, when you compare that to the errated version, which reads, you can send this card to the graveyard, special summon 2 level 3 or lower beast type monsters from your deck, but they have their effects negated, also they are destroyed during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Rescue Cat once per turn. So as you can see, they not only slapped a hard once per turn clause on the errated version of Rescue Cat, but they also made it that whatever Rescue Cat summoned had its effects negated. Rescue Cat was the focal point of so many powerful strategies that it had to just be outright banned, because even though it is one of the cutest cards ever made, it is one of the most deadly. And then Rescue Rabbit may not be as powerful as Rescue Cat, but still a very formidable foe nonetheless. It cannot be special summoned from the deck, and you can banish it face up to special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters with the same name from your deck, but destroy them during the end phase. You can only use the effect of Rescue Rabbit once per turn. In comparison to pre-errata Rescue Cat, this card does not seem nearly as powerful, but again was also the focal point of numerous strategies. Dino Rabbit was one of the strongest tier 1 decks in its day, and the rabbit half of Dino Rabbit came from Rescue Rabbit. It just so happened to work out that Sabersaurus and Cabazals were both vanilla dinosaurs with decent attack stats, and then when you can overlay those into cards like Evilzor, Lagia, and Dolka, you might just have a very strong deck on your hands, at least by 2011 standards. If Rescue Cat and Rescue Rabbit have taught us anything, it is to not be fooled by the cuteness of these beast type cards. Now we're getting towards the end of the video, but that doesn't mean the power level's going down anytime soon, because for number 8, we have Test Tiger. Test Tiger reads, if you control a face-up Gladiator Beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can tribute this card and target one face-up Gladiator Beast monster you control, shuffle that target into the deck, then special summon one Gladiator Beast monster from your deck, and treat it as if it were special summoned by the effect of a Gladiator Beast monster. Gladiator Beast is debatably one of the strongest decks of all time in its prime, and Test Tiger was one of the reasons for this. Being able to help accelerate your plays and get your Gladiator Beast monster effects online without having to go to your battle phase, and not to mention with Test Tiger being able to special summon itself out onto the field to do this with ease, Test Tiger was one of the most terrifying cards back in the day. Gladiator Beast would not have been the powerhouse that it was without a card like Test Tiger, and yes, while later variants actually ended up cutting it, Test Tiger was the reason that Gladiator Beast got off the ground running. Now for our second to last pick, we're going to be taking a trip back to the Synchro era, and a card that pairs very well with our good old friend Synchro Cat. That card is X-Saber Airbellum. X-Saber Airbellum reads, if this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, discard one random card from your opponent's hand. By today's standards, Airbellum has some of the most minimalist card text I've ever seen, but that doesn't take away from the power this card possesses. Airbellum was one of the crucial pieces of the Synchro Cat strategy that ultimately was the reason Rescue Cat got banned. Being a beast that was level 3, and remember pre-errata the effects weren't negated, you could tribute off your Rescue Cat using its effect to summon 2 copies of Airbellum, and on an empty board, that means not only are you going to inflict 3,200 damage to your opponent, but you're also going to rip 2 cards out of their hand as well. And if that weren't enough, also being a tuner monster was what made Airbellum shine, allowing for a multitude of synchro strategies that really just took the deck over the top. Hand destruction is one of the most powerful tools in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, and when you have that combined on a decent body that can also go into synchro plays, what more could you really ask for? And so that's going to bring us to the last card on our top 10 beast monsters of all time, and I guarantee you might not have thought of this one because this card technically isn't even legal yet in the TCG at the time of recording this video, but I guarantee this card will make an impact, and that card is Zoo King Alpha. Zoo King Alpha is a Earth Beast level 8 effect monster with 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must first be special summoned from your hand, while the total attack of all monsters your opponent controls is higher than the total attack of all monsters you control. You can target any number of Beast, Beast Warrior, and or Wing Beast monsters you control. Zoo King Alpha you control cannot attack directly for the rest of this turn. Also, return the targeted monsters to the hand, then return the same number of face-up monsters your opponent controls to the hand. You can only use this effect of Zoo King Alpha once per turn. So to summarize, if your opponent controls more monsters with a total attack higher than what you control, you can summon Zoo King Alpha to your field. Then you can bounce itself back to your hand as well as one monster your opponent controls. Keep in mind, if it's an extra deck monster, it's going to go back to their extra deck, and then because there's no once per turn clause on its special summoning condition, if your opponent still has monsters with total higher attack, then guess what? You can slam Zoo King Alpha down once again. It may not be able to attack directly for the rest of the turn, but does that really matter when you have a 3,000 attack monster that you can just hit over whatever your opponent has? This card is a behemoth, and some people want to compare this as the beast equivalent to Dino Wrestler Pankratops, and I definitely think that is a very justifiable comparison. All of us witnessed the impact that Pankratops had on the format, and I wouldn't be surprised if Zoo King Alpha follows suit. And so for those reasons, although the card has yet to be released in the TCG, I definitely think Zoo King Alpha definitely deserves a spot on the top 10 beast monsters of all time. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for the video, but now I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments what your top picks are for the best beast monsters throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you found this video informative, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. Just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.